Winston? Winston? Come back with that leg of lamb.
To the British, every problem can either be solved or at least made less complicated with a cup of tea and a slice of cake. I don't know what it is about baking, but this last year, through the COVID and everything, through uncertain times, everyone seems to turn to baking. And maybe it's just sort of adding a normalcy, maybe it's adding a comfort when we bake breads and bake cakes, but everyone goes to the kitchen and everyone is baking. I can't tell you how many pictures of food shots, of especially of bread, especially of cakes, that I've seen on my Instagram feeds over the last year. It's unbelievable. I posted a photo of my lemon drizzle cake on my Instagram page and it went wild. Everybody wanted the recipe. I mean, it is a really, really good recipe and it's one that I prepared at Buckingham Palace for the Queen. So here's the recipe. Lemon drizzle cake is actually Winston's favourite cake too. Favourite cake of all. It's his tea time treat and he's even dressed up for it today. We start by greasing a 1 pound loaf pan. Lemon drizzle cake really is a simple pound cake. With the addition of lemon juice in there, it makes it deliciously syrupy but also citrusy, and it makes it the perfect accompaniment for afternoon tea. So we start off by greasing. I use unsalted butter all the way around the 1 pound loaf tin. Now, you've all lined loaf tins before, but for me, I like to do 2 small pieces, 1 large piece. I start with 1 long piece in the bottom. It has a little overhangs where I can lift out the cake once it's done. Then the side pieces, I pop those in, and then I need to grease the inside too. Pound cake was invented in the UK in the 1700s, and the recipe was literally a pound of butter, a pound of sugar, a pound of flour, and a pound of weighed eggs. That was it. It wasn't until like 100 years later that baking powder and things like that were invented, which made it much lighter when it cooked. So when they were added to the pound cake, you had, I guess, a less dense cake. I don't need to put any flour in there. I just grease it and leave that to one side. Then, when I'm making pound cake, the lemon drizzle cake, we have 2 pots. 1 bowl is for all the dry ingredients and 1 bowl is all the wet ingredients. We do all the dry ingredients together and mix them in, and then all the wet ingredients and mix those in, add the 2 together. It's as simple as that. First the dry ingredients, the sugar, the baking powder and the salt, and then the flour. Whisk everything together so there are no lumps and that you spread that baking powder into the flour. And then the wet ingredients, lemon juice, vegetable oil, eggs, sour cream, and lemon zest. Now, when I'm zesting, I like to use a microplane. You can use a grater if you want to and do it really fine, but the microplane, they've been around for years now. You've probably got one at home yourself. If you haven't, they're not expensive. I put a link in the description below so you can order one, or go to the local store and you'll find one there. But look, it gives a really nice zest in there, and the zest adds that bitterness that we want. Then we whisk together all of the liquid, the wet ingredients. It smells amazing with that lemon juice and the lemon zest in there. If you want it to go really, really yellow, you can add a splash of food coloring if you want to. The best thing to do is to add some real organic corn-fed eggs, and the yellow on those makes an incredible lemon drizzle cake. Right, liquid's in, add the flour. Then carefully mix the dry and wet together. Don't over whisk it because we don't want the mixture tightening up, and it only takes a few seconds. Then into the mold. And then into the oven. 350 degrees for about 30 minutes or so. I put the recipe in the description so you can make it at home too. Once it's nice and golden on the top and firm, then we can take it out and let it rest. We need to let it sit a while in the tin so that it doesn't fall apart. So we let it cool for about 15 minutes or so. Once it's almost cool, but not completely, I'm going to lift it out of the tin and take off the paper. It smells so good. It's still warm on the inside, and I want that because I'm going to put the first glaze on it. And the first glaze is my secret. There are 2 glazes that go on top on my lemon drizzle cake, and that's what makes it delicious. So, some lemon juice and some sugar into a pan, and I'm going to boil those until they get really syrupy. Once I've got a nice syrupy glaze, I can pitchfork all the way around the top of my cake. With a fork, I'm going in, making holes, because when the syrup goes in, I want it to run down into the cake. Winston, get down from up there. You don't need to be up there. And then I can glaze the cake. Look at that syrup. And don't forget the sides too. It makes it really sticky when you're eating it, but gives you an excuse just to lick your fingers, and that syrup, so good. Perfectly glazed, but this is the first glaze. There's more to come. It's already the perfect lemon drizzle cake, and we've got another layer to put on top yet. Winston, in your crate. If life gives you lemons, you've got to make a lemon drizzle cake, right? As the glaze starts to set and the cake is now really cold, we make the final coating. This is going to be thicker than the glaze, and we don't heat it this time. And again, it's just powdered sugar and lemon juice. Be careful adding the lemon juice into the powdered sugar. We don't want it so watery and so thin that it just all runs off. We want some of it to stick there, and we want some of it to drizzle. Don't worry if you put too much lemon juice in. You can actually add a little bit more powdered sugar in there. And they say we eat with our eyes, first of all. So let's make it lemony and put a little splash of lemon color in there. And when you get the right consistency then, it leaves a little trail on the top as you lift the whisk out. Now we can just drizzle it over the cake. And for me, the drizzle is not just drizzling it backwards and forwards, though you can do it that way if you want to. I like to take a pastry brush and really spread that top layer of frosting all over the cake. Now everybody gets some. It's thin enough to run across the cake, but thick enough to hold on to it as well. Doesn't matter if it runs down the side, it just gives it that character. I make an Italian version of this one as well, and you can substitute the vegetable oil with olive oil, and then in the glaze put some limoncello. Bellissimo! At Eating Royally, we put lavender in there as well. So when we do royal afternoon tea parties in the Dallas area, we add the lavender in there, and it's just, quintessentially British with a nice cup of Earl Grey tea. Let the icing set up nice and firm, and then we can slice it. Once the frosting has set, now we can slice it. I've been waiting for this all day. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous inside. So what's the secret to my delicious lemon cake? Well, it's the oil and sour cream. They keep the inside so moist and soft, it's delicious. And also the double frosting frosting it first with the glaze and then second with that drizzle over the top. It adds that extra, well, almost 2 layers of sharpness and sweetness together. Enough talking, let's eat it. I suppose you want some as well. Lemon drizzle cake, the perfect afternoon tea cake with a nice cup of tea. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Click on the link below. The recipe's there in the description. Give me a thumbs up. Leave your comment. What's your favorite bread? Do you like banana bread, lemon drizzle cake? This has got to be one of my favorites. You need to try it. See you again soon.